Hi, welcome to another episode of At Home with LA. I am in Colorado finishing up my marathon work weekend, and I am in the office of someone who has been such an inspiration in my life. My friend, my soul sister. She is the author of the Expatriates, and you've heard me talk about her a million times because she is the founder of the Rowan Tree Foundation. So before I hop on a plane, I'm going to sneak outside on her deck and see if we can get a quick interview with her. Come on and join me.
I think it was probably when I was in high school and starting to get into more intensive, like, creative writing classes and analyzing literature and those things. I've always read, and books have always been part of our family life growing up, but I didn't pursue it until after my kids were born. It was something that I was like, it was this dream, like one day I'll write a book, one day I'll do this, and it was this thing that never really materialized until much later. When I was pregnant with my eldest son, I had this, it's a total cliche, I had a dream and I had this vision, and there's a scene in this book that prompted the entire, like, it was the kernel of the story. And I thought about it, and like it was one of those things that wouldn't let me go. I kept having it like pop in when I was doing the dishes. I'd be in the shower and the scene would pop in. It was so vivid. Um, and he was a newborn, and I actually signed up for one of those yes you can write classes, like from those magazines. And I started, and the end of that class, the goal was to have like the first 3 chapters of your book written. And I was like, oh, I'll just do this and get it done, and get some college credits, and finish doing all of those things. And then I had another kid and another kid and another kid, and I just put it off. I finished the class when he was 9, and then that vision kept coming back, and it was the same scene and the same scene, and I decided that I was going to give it a go. And once I got started, it was like I was bit by the bug. I just could not stop. I don't think it's possible to actually count the number of times that I've wanted to just stop. And it comes from everywhere. It comes from fear. It comes from letting fear overwhelm you, from me, from this. It's this thing that I heard it referred to as imposter syndrome. Like, who do I think I am to do this? And I'm no stranger to doing things. Like, I've had businesses, I started an organization. I'm not afraid of attempting, but for the writing, it always felt like it was this thing, like this was the big one. And if I was going to give it a go and I failed, like, now what? Like, that was like a big part of my identity, but it was like my wannabe identity, like the thing that was always out there on the horizon for, like, when I'm retired, I'll write a book. And I think that the biggest thing for me was, so sorry, going back to where it comes from, you do this to yourself. And I was always telling myself, you're not good enough, and like, if somebody gave you some negative feedback, then it comes from this outside place, and then you start to doubt, and then you have the supporters, and then when people give you support, and you don't trust that they're being authentic because they love you and they want you to succeed. And it's this funny thing that we do. We're constantly doubting, and every time I start something new, I have doubt. So I think that there's a million times you want to throw in the towel, and you really do have to overcome that fear. I think that one of the most important things that anybody who's trying to pursue a dream can do is, when they're feeling doubt, they need to stop and, like, break out a notebook and start writing. And the question is, why did I start this in the first place? And I think that you have to, even maybe before you start, I want to write a book because I have a story to tell. I believe that there are people who would enjoy my story. And the reason that I write is because when I was a kid, I was transported by stories. Like, you disappear into those books. And that was an experience that happened to me with every story. Like, I can just let go of my world and dive into the book. And that's what my core desire is, to provide that for people. Like, I want to give you that escape. Um, and when I have doubt and I have fear and I want to give up, I actually sit back down and I have this notebook, my journal, and I have a bookmarked place, and I go back to that page where I wrote, this is why I'm doing this. And whether or not it reaches 1,000,000 people or it reaches 10 people, if one person says, "Oh my God, I was so sucked in," then that's what I wanted. Well, this book is The Expatriates is the first book in a series. This is Song of the Sending, and it's a young adult fantasy story about a 17-year-old kid who can read the minds of animals, and he discovers that his family did not actually escape from their world before it was destroyed, but they have been hiding him in California in a traveling carnival because somebody's hunting him for his powers. Oh yeah, this is the first in a planned 5-book series, and I'm working on the sequel now. And I've wanted to have it out by now. I wanted to have a book done every year, and life gets in the way, and family and kids, and then I wasn't feeling it, and so I have the freedom to push it off, and so I'm planning it for coming out this coming spring. And that is actually tied to you from back. I mean, we've been friends, and I've been your client for, it's got to be 18, 19 years. Um, so I had my oldest child. I've had 5 children. I have 4 living children. My oldest daughter died when she was a newborn, and we had no idea. And our experience brought me to realize that we had a wonderful experience as far as that goes. We lost a child, and that's terrible. But our doctors were loving, and my Lamaze instructor has become like a part of our family. She's my youngest son's godmother, and these people came out of the woodwork to support us, and we never, this wasn't what was supposed to happen with our world. And when I realized after getting involved in the community, the lost community, that we got lucky with those loving nurses and the loving doctor and the people that were saying all the right things and connecting us to support. And I realized that not everybody gets that. I started reaching out, and I started this organization that's called Rowan Tree Foundation, after my daughter's name was Rowan. And we do bereavement support for families that lose a child. We moved back to New York when my oldest was little, and we were wandering through the park there, and I found this angel statue, and on the plaque it said, we gather here at 7 o'clock on December 6th every year, and come and join us for Child Loss Remembrance, and bring a candle. It was very casual, and we ended up moving before I could do that. But when I got involved in the lost community here, I was like, well, there's this memorial. We don't have a lost memorial. I'm going to do some research. And I went to my meeting, and I said, there isn't a child loss statue or anything like that around here. And my friend Jennifer, she goes, well, we have to get one. And that was the beginning. I sent away for information, and I had already established my nonprofit. So I had the means to do fundraising, and it took us 2 years to raise the money to do that. But in that time, I had gone before the town, the Parker Town Council, and had to petition them, and they ended up donating land to us, and we got the statue in place, and we had our very first candlelight remembrance, and the field was just this. They laid out the field, it was just gravel in our statue. And then over the years, we had a Boy Scout who was doing his Eagle project who contacted us asking if we could use some landscaping, and the town was like, yes, and they put water out there, and it has been you talk about the universe conspiring in your favor, it feels like this was so meant to be. The goal is to live with your loss, not living in your loss. And I think that we have a June event and we have a December event. It's twice a year, and I think it's an opportunity to allow people to come back to this and revisit and know I haven't forgotten, and I'm honoring my child and honoring me and my loss, and being within a community of hundreds of people, and I'm not alone. we did. So the state of Colorado has this awareness opportunity for causes, and you can do. They have, of course, like the Denver Broncos have a license plate, the Boy Scouts of America have a plate, and we were like, well, why don't we have a plate, for child laws? And so one of the girls on the board of Rowan Tree Foundation, Jen Mays, said that she wanted to do this, and I said, let's go. And it took us. Oh, it took forever. We had to get signatures, and then we had to go testify in front of like 13 different committee hearings at the, like the whole, the Schoolhouse Rock with the I'm just a bill, I'm only a bill, and I'm going through committee. We had to go through all the different committees, and I have to say it was the most profound experience. I think that over the years, and especially like, I talk about like us who are involved in the organization, like we are ambassadors for grief, and we talk about it a lot, and we're always reaching out. And I think that sometimes you get into going through the motions of telling your story, and it's almost like you've told this so many times, you lose touch with the heart of it. And that going through that experience and telling our story to, the senators and the House of Representatives reps, was humbling. It brought us all. I thought, I'll write my story and I'll read it to them, and it was, it brought me back to that, why this matters, and it's so important that we don't shove this under the carpet. It's okay to talk about this. We have to talk about this, and I can't tell you, it takes a little bit of time to build traction, but now we see the license plate everywhere, and people text me pictures like they're on the road and they saw the license plate, and word is getting out, and it's starting to it's a tiny little movement, but it's one more step toward openness and being able to verbalize. So I love it. If you have a dream, you should totally give it a go. And then when it comes time, like in the case of writing a book, there's this whole organization of people that are going to be validating and improving and giving you permission and saying, yes, this is good enough. You know what? Pick yourself. Give yourself permission and find ways to get your thing out there.